Probably the highlight of my day is going to be the next thing that we get to do, and it is presentation of our Visionary Award. We established this award several years ago. It's an annual award to recognize an individual whose leadership has contributed greatly to the development of HIE in Nebraska. And this is an award that is determined by the executive committee, and we often have spirited debate on who gets this award. This year, an individual just rose to the top immediately that we need to recognize. So our past winners of this award, Steve Marty, he was with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that organization provided the seed money for us to get NeHII started. We had Harris Frankel, who was the physician and was president of NeHII for several years, and contributed thousands of hours to helping us get this going. Ken Lewan was the IT director at Allegiant and CHI Health, and helped us get the infrastructure on the national side then. Roger Hertz was from Hastings, he's CIO out there, and helped us figure out how to make this work in individual facilities, and spent countless hours. And last year we honored Senator Sarah Howard. She was the one that was instrumental in getting our PDFP bill passed through the legislature. So it's a very elite and I'd say powerful and influential group. And we're pleased now this year to announce our award winner. And he does happen to be in the room and does not know about this yet. But our award winner this year is Marty. NeHII County Hospital. I think you remember you saw him on the panel discussion before, and is it any wonder that not only does he do all this for Nebraska, but he's down in where was it? Raleigh, Durham, as doing some national things. But here are some of the things that he's done. I'm going to put my glasses on, Cindy. Co-chairman of the Nebraska Health Council, Vice President of the Region 2 Trauma Advisory Board, Chair-elect of the Nebraska Hospital Association. He's on the Executive Board of the Mid-America Hospital Alliance, Chairman of the Rural Health Advisory Commission, member of the Critical Access Hospital Advisory Council, member of the Critical Access Hospital Advisory Board on Quality. He's a member of the HIT Policy Committee Meaningful Use Workshop, having been appointed by the Office of the National Coordinator, and recently was accepted as a Health IT Fellow with the ONC and a Fellow with the Rural Futures Institute. So Marty, I'd like to present you with this award, and it says the NeHII Annual HIT Visionary Award is presented to Marty Fattig with much appreciation and gratitude for your endless support and leadership of health information exchange in Nebraska. Nebraska Health Information Initiative, August 3rd, 2017. Couple pictures, and then you're going to get a 30-minute. Okay.
Just a couple of things. I'm so humbled by this. There's so many more people that are far more deserving. So if I could, I'd give it away. But I'm very honored to receive this. So and thank you to everyone who had a part in this. And this just validates what I try to do every day. So that what I do is worthwhile. So thank you.
I think we might have surprised him. Okay. All right. Our next session will be on provisioning to HIE 2.0, and we have Jed Hansen, Clinical Implementation Specialist with NeHII. I promised him I'd get his name right.
Well, good afternoon. And normally I just want to make sure that I don't speak directly after lunch, but boy, after an award like that, that's pretty special, Marty. Congratulations. had a very busy year this past year with provisioning and training for the new process, for the new NeHII 2.0 and the PD&P. The team members from NeHII that are involved with that are myself, Wendy Reach, and Amy Plansnovich, who are not here today. They're busy working away. And then Jamie, where are you? If you could maybe stand up. Jamie's at the back there. Jamie was given a very difficult task around a year ago where we had some personnel changes, and she jumped in and to say the volume of people that she's been responsible for provisioning, it's just truly amazing. She's done a wonderful job, so thank you. So what we've done over the last year is we've gone from this to this. Pretty simple. From a timeline standpoint, last September, we began notifying facilities of the change to 2.0, and we placed some notification on our old system. October, we began provisioning current users using the new email system, and have continued on that since that point. In January 2017, Amy and the team at the state, along with Kevin, they blessed us with the PD&P, which has been an absolutely wonderful tool. And to say that I don't know that I could accurately speak to the level of goodwill that's happening across the state with the PD&P. We're doing a wonderful job. And then, as mentioned earlier, in May of this year, we had the legislative amendment that allowed for expanded access to some certain designees. As far as the process goes for the new system, very similar to the old one, where individuals contact our support desk with a user file and accounts are created. Someone from the NeHII implementation team contacts them after a roughly 10-day process, and we set up training via a couple different modalities. On the PD&P side, we have been able to partner with the state on this process, and so along with the user request form being submitted, there's some extra vetting that takes place with DHHS, and then we again have a couple different modalities. The result, it's been a very, very busy couple of years. 2016, you can see since inception with NeHII that we've had almost exponential growth in the number of users, and we had a record year last year with total users, number of clinical staff, pharmacists, and providers. And this is through June of this year, and so you can see we're well on our way to breaking another record. Some of those records that have been previously mentioned, third quarter of 2016, those providers added at 373. Third quarter overall last year was a very, very busy quarter. We added a record number of pharmacists, and then in 2016, you can see the records there. 2017, this second quarter was also extremely busy. We added the most number of clinical support staff in a quarter at 657, and then we also had a new record for a number of total provisioned and trained users. So what that has meant, there's been a lot of traveling and support statewide. I've had the chance to speak with some of you at dinner last night. Been in 91 of the 93 counties in the state over the last year. It's been a real honor being able to see the different communities and to travel the state at that capacity. Miles traveled, this has 23,600 miles. I just eclipsed 27,000 coming out here, so I wish there was frequent flyer miles with that. And that would be equal to just over 26 round trips between Omaha and Scottsbluff, or 4 round trips between New York and LA, to put some perspective to that. And all this traveling wouldn't be complete without some good eating across the state, and so I let everyone know kind of my travel guide. And certainly barbecue place down in Auburn. I think I had to put an etc. there because in my multiple trips down there, I ate there every time. that jalapeno burger in Bridgeport, I'm not sure if it was that good. I was caught in the middle of a blizzard in February, and I think anything at that point where I wasn't in a car was going to be really wonderful. But and just thank you to everyone that's here for the communities that I've been able to come out, visit, train, and provide some education for. You've all been very hospitable. It's been wonderful to work with you, and thank you for your support with NeHII. And with that, we'll move on to the next committee, to the Finance Committee report, and with Stephanie.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Stephanie Goddard. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Nebraska Medicine in Omaha. I think I've only seen one of my committee members here, Kevin Conway. If Dale Mackel or Jeanette Wadalevich are here and I just didn't see you, please stand and so people know who you are. I'm Nick. Oh, hey, there he is. Sorry, I did not see you. So, and of course, Eric Kremers. Where's Eric? Stand up, Eric, there. He's our financial whiz who keeps us all organized and making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. So get ready for the 5 minutes of the most riveting part of this conference right now. And I'm going to try to do, I have 5 minutes, I'm not even probably going to use all 5 minutes. From a 2016 perspective, we ended with a year of profitability. That might not seem like newsworthy to put on a slide, if you've only been involved with NeHII for the last few years or so, but this is a really big deal. And there was a point in time, I don't know, Deb, would you say 5 years ago, when there was a real question about the sustainability of NeHII, but we were able to kind of get support from our state, as well as some of the hospitals that we partnered with to be able to keep going. And so, and I think because of that, we're really doing some really exciting things, and you've heard about a lot of that today. And so we feel very fortunate about that. The value of NeHII, if you want to think about it that way, is $826,000. We've been holding on and kind of stockpiling some of that money because we knew that we were going to have to make investments in added functionality. Some of the reports that you've heard today, we talked about a lot of that functionality, but there's a lot of great ideas that we want to go after as we move forward. So we had to amass some value or some income into the organization to be able to invest in that. From a budget perspective, many of you have been contacted about the new pricing model. We did need to put that into place to make sure that we were treating everybody fairly, I guess is the best way to think about it, to make sure that those that are utilizing putting data into the system and how much data they're putting into the system matters from the standpoint of how we're charged by Optum as we move forward. And so, luckily, by looking at the way that we're pricing today, I don't think that most of the hospitals and physician practices didn't have a huge impact from that. But we appreciate everyone's support and understanding why we need to move to a new model going forward. We also added new resources to address some of the functionality you heard about, as well as all the new installs that we've been working on. Additional activities, and I won't read through all of this to help you understand, but I do think that the Optum Master Services Agreement review was a big work effort over the last year, just understanding how we're going to be charged, making sure that NeHII was protected as we move into the future. The Finance Committee also does review and approve all the implementation proposals that come forward. And I would say the reason we do that is to make sure that all the hospitals and practices in Nebraska are being treated fairly, and we're not, giving breaks to one hospital and charging another hospital more than we should to make up for that. We are really making sure that everyone is being treated fairly across the board. Some additional work that the Finance Committee has been doing this last year is looking at our future and how we need to invest in value-add services. I think that part of the sustainability plan for NeHII is making sure that we're providing value to all of the people that participate in that. And I think that it's something that we're really going to make sure that we are focusing on as we move into the future. I think that having 68% of all the beds in Nebraska, I think that was the number represented in providing data into NeHII, is huge. There's a few big health systems, not to be named, in Lincoln, Nebraska, that would be awesome if we could get them into the system as well. And a few others to make sure that we can all get a lot of the value that we can get out of a statewide exchange. And I think that as citizens of the state of Nebraska and healthcare providers, we should really be proud of what the NeHII team has been able to accomplish. I would say that we are leading the nation from the standpoint of what a statewide health exchange is and what it can be, and we're being called to advise many states on what we can happen. And I think working with the ONC, they really recognize that as well. So I think that we all really should be proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and the fact that those of us that have been part of this from the beginning, it helps to see the realization of Marty's comments when he was up here before. You're starting to see the value of what you thought you saw when we started this 10 years ago, or however long it's been. And it's really exciting to be able to do that. But a rising tide floats all boats, and I think that what we really need to do is work together to get as much of our healthcare providers to participate in the exchange as we can. And so here's a testimonial from one of our finance committee members. We have found NeHII to be an invaluable resource to assist in managing all of our value-based contracts, including our MSSP insurance risk contracts and self-pay patients. Having timely notifications of admissions, ED visits, and other services patients have both within and outside of CHI Health allows our team to better manage the care of our patients. And that was by Jenna Wamalevich, the CFO out at CHI here in Nebraska. And that is definitely a use case that we're trying to get the message around. So anyway, thank you very much for listening here to me, and I'm going to introduce Sherry Flowers to do the privacy and security report. Sherry?
Sorry, I should have sat a little closer in front. So I cannot be remiss in saying that I've only been here in this role as the privacy officer for 2 months. Previously, Kim Lammers was the privacy officer for NeHII. So a lot of what you're going to see here is work that she and the team have done. A lot of you that are on this committee I've only met via phone. So if there is anyone else, I know Jim O'Connor's here and Kim is here, but anyone else on the team that is on, oh, Margaret's here, anyone else? But just a lot of work. And as you'll hear, and as you've heard from Dr. Westcott, this is definitely a busy committee. So you'll see a lot of words on these pages that are in small print because there is just a lot of work going on with this team. So I'm not going to go through all of these activities, but you'll see, like I said, there's been a lot going on. One of the big initiatives, and I don't know if you want to call them initiatives, but one of the big things that the committee had worked on this past year is the OCR desk audit. So we had the privilege in last December of 2016 of being the first HIE to be chosen for a desk audit. So a lot of work went into that, a lot of documentation, everything that we had to do. We have not heard anything back, and as you say, sometimes no news is good news, and that is definitely the truth here. But want to thank everybody who had anything to do with that effort in gaining all that information. One of the other things that we've been looking at is considering school nurse and CIMRO access use cases. Really looking at that, and you'll see that's one of the plans going forward in our future expansion too. And also, and we've heard a little bit about this too, is the implications of the patient-centered data home and making sure that we are allowing access to other HIEs in other states. So really looking at that as well. But as you see, a lot of work that's gone on during 2016 and 2017, and a lot more to come. As far as future goals, again, a lot of work on ongoing. Reviewing the policies and procedures for the new platform, for the 2.0 platform, is one of the things that we'll definitely be looking at. One of the things that was a result of the desk audits and the risk assessments that have been going on is a new NeHII participation agreement. So we've been looking at that and we'll be getting that into place. Formalizing policies for the PDMP data, so more to come on that, and that really has to do a lot with LV 223 that we've heard some about. And then really continuing with cybersecurity education and awareness efforts. One of the things that Deb and I had discussed is really, as she's talked to the ONC and given them more information about NeHII, they've just been very impressed with the amount of engagement that we have from the stakeholders and the amount of engagement we have from the state and the work that's been done. So really a lot of that goes to everything that's been done in this room and everyone that participates and all the work that's been done. So appreciate everything. Like I said, I certainly cannot take credit for this. Looking forward to working with everybody on the committee and at NeHII and more to come there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin Conway.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Conway, Vice President of Health Information for the Nebraska Hospital Association. And to introduce our Professional Association Advisory Council, which I chair, our members here, I think today, Del Malman is here, I've seen him. Courtney Brubach is new to the committee, but I don't think she's here. Julie Kaminsky has left Leading Age, and we have Jeremy Holman, with Leading Age. Is Jeremy here? Thank you, Jeremy. And then Cindy Cademy. I think Cindy Cademy is also here. I don't see Cindy out there at this point. So, past activities, again, focusing on participation in state professional association meetings, getting the word out there about NeHII. When we started this council years ago, we thought this would be a 1 or 2 year activity because everybody would know about NeHII. But it's amazing, the individuals that haven't heard about NeHII, but even more recently, all the new developments, what is different from NeHII this year than it was last year. So it's a fairly large list of activities that the NeHII staff has been involved with. They've also been very active in the Nebraska HIMSS chapter, started 2010, and somebody from NeHII has had a leadership role in that chapter ever since it's been developed. They also do presentations for them, expanding committee membership. And I have to say, just recruiting point is we do not meet at 7 o'clock in the morning. We meet at 8 o'clock. So we're the easiest committee to join. Future goals, again, just getting the word out there, making sure people are aware of what NeHII is doing, what the current facts are about NeHII. We've talked about some of the legislative efforts this year. We still have some things on the horizon. We've got data governance to talk about. We got ADT alerting to talk about. We know there's going to be some legislative efforts going on out there. We have 2 legislative resolutions going on this summer. One of them I don't think they'll get to. The other one I think they will get to, and both of them have to deal with NeHII in some way, maybe the PDMP, maybe data repositories, data population health studies. I looked at the list of the upcoming association presentations. The remainder of this year, there's 19. So we still have a lot, or NeHII staff still has a lot on the calendar to accomplish and do presentations for. So again, encouraging education on NeHII. Webinars. We started these a couple of years ago just as kind of a, not everybody can attend the annual meeting, so we said we need to educate people. They just have grown like wildfire. And as I think Deb was saying earlier, Mike was saying earlier, Dr. Westcott, that we're the first Health Information Exchange to do an annual report. We're leading these webinars. It's just kind of a lot to begin with, and they've grown very successful. As you can see by the numbers, lots of RSVPs. We have people from all over the country. They're just not Nebraskans listening to these webinars, interested in what we're doing. Again, we have continued strong support from the associations. The Nebraska Medical Association, Del Malman and his crew, had their November magazine, had a nice article about PDMP, very well received, got some national attention. Deb listed a couple of things that are happening national, already to the doctor first, but this list goes on of other articles. She talked about the ONC and some of the speaking engagements and newsletters or articles about NeHII and the ONC. So not only is it a not best kept Nebraska secret, it's not a not kept national secret at this point as well. So like I said, we have plenty of articles to talk about. At this point, I'm going to introduce Ann Byers from the NITC and Lisa Brandt from NeHII Healthcare to give the Consumer Advisory Council update. So, Ann and Lisa.
So, and Kevin, I would just like to say that we also meet at 8 too. So if any of you are interested in joining the Consumer Advisory Council, you're more than welcome. So we're lucky enough to have had many council members here today. Lisa Brandt, Marsha Marine was here earlier and had to leave, and I see Dr. Wyckoff filming this right now. Are there any other advisory council members that I missed that are in attendance? So other members are Allison Casaccio, Ellen Jacobs, Tracy Michelle, Laurel Muting, and I think that's it. And over the past year, we've had two major accomplishments: updating the consumer privacy brochure, so it has updated information on self-pay. And the second one is an exciting consumer awareness campaign. How many of you have seen NeHII billboards or heard a NeHII ad on the radio or saw an ad in the newspaper? Hey, that's very exciting. We wouldn't have been able to do this without some funding in our ONC grant that we were able to reallocate to this consumer awareness campaign. And also, we could not have done this without the help of our very talented member, Lisa Brandt, who really put the whole campaign together for us. So I'm going to hand it over to Lisa right now. Oh, I guess I forgot for future goals. So we do have a few future goals to continue to identify provider and consumer engagement strategies, and to continue to review some of the products to help with consumer engagement.
Hello everyone, my name is Lisa Brandt. I'm the Marketing Director at Mary Lanning Healthcare in Hastings, and I'm proud to be a member of the Consumer Advisory Committee for NeHII. It's just very fun to work with all you folks. We did receive a wonderful, generous grant for a statewide campaign late spring, I guess, and we wanted to execute this to run in June and July. And we had $25,000, or $31,000, which is a large amount for a marketing campaign, but statewide, especially with the eastern part of the state and what media costs there, that is not a lot of money, so we had to be very strategic in what we planned and placed. Looking at the time of year, we decided to go with a campaign focused on outdoor advertising and print advertising, because those reached a lot of the demographic markets we were looking for, as well as we added a component for radio, which enabled us to cover the state, and I'll give you a little more detail on that here in just a minute. Gonna move on. Okay, this is for the newspaper component. We purchased a campaign, a 2-column by 4-inch print ad that ran in 160 newspapers across the state, including the Omaha and Lincoln papers and every paper in the state of Nebraska. Ran 3 times. We had good awareness on that, which is a very large demographic audience for us, especially in that 45-plus demo. And so that is how it broke down. So just of our total funding, we had about $10,000 in newspapers. Oh, that's a little fuzzy. It was literally than that in the paper, but anyway, that is how the print ad looked. It was black and white. I'm speeding through this, so forgive me if I'm rushing through things. But the outdoor we talked about too, because of the broad area we have to cover, we were able to negotiate hard on with some of the vendors that I work with in central Nebraska. Lamar, we purchased all digital billboards, the electronic billboards, which are much more dynamic, draw a lot more attention, and have the best locations. And they gave us 12 or 15? 12 billboards across the state, including several in eastern Nebraska, and then all across the corridor along the 80 corridor in the major cities. for $12,000. In Omaha alone, those billboards would be in the $2,500 to $3,000 for a 30-day showing range, and so we got those for about $1,000. So that was a great buy. Gave us great coverage, and actually we extended that campaign for a little bit because of the effectiveness of it. We used a very dynamic billboard, great colors in the NeHII logo that really just popped off the digital billboard, and I think many of you did see that. I think you saw that last night, so that's great to hear. Those are still running. They're running through tomorrow, so look for them in your towns, and they'll be up for another day or so. And then also we had radio. We added this in because radio is so segmented into different formats. It's hard to buy radio statewide, but we understand that the large ag market, and we were able to buy KRVN and their ag network, which is 17 radio stations across the state from Omaha to Scottsbluff. Gave us an incredible rate on that. We got 17 stations, a 4-week campaign, 75 30-second spots per station. We're at 1,275 total spots. That's incredible. And you can see the stations that they covered across Nebraska, average of $10 per spot. I can't even touch that in central Nebraska, let alone in Omaha or Lincoln. So that was great. So we were able to get that. We did factor in a little bit of money for social media too, doing some things on Facebook. Oh, sorry. Let me run that ad.
Hospitals, health insurance companies, and pharmacies across the state. And best of all, NeHII is free. To learn more about NeHII, visit the website www.nehii.org.
That's a little sample of it. We missed the first part of that, but you'll see when in the copy we directed everything on the billboards, the print, and the radio to the NeHII website. So that sends all the traffic there, and that's where the wealth of information is on NeHII. And Deb, I think that you had mentioned that the day that campaign launched, which was in late June, you received a call from Western Nebraska through that they had heard the radio ad, had heard, identified the website, went to the website, got the phone number, and called Deb and asked her about the information, which is unheard of. In 30 years of doing this, I've never seen that much proactivity on the first day of a launch. So that was great. So we know it was resonating with people. We also did factor in some social media. We still have the option of adding in some Facebook ads. Those are very, very inexpensive. We use those a lot in my hospital because you can really target those audiences, and they're really pennies per ad to do. And then also tweets and NeHII banners on the NeHII website that kind of is consistent with the billboard image. So we have all those components together. We had factored in about 2,600. We were actually able to roll some of that back into the campaign to extend the outdoor because that was pulling so well. So we had a total of 36,000 total because we added in some money to add in the radio campaign, and NeHII contributed about $13,000, which really, really helped and extended our outdoor campaign for a little bit. Okay. Any questions from anyone on that? Thank you.
Well, thank you. And now we're going to turn it over to Jim O'Connor.
Good afternoon, I'm Jim O'Connor. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Barrett Home, and we've been lucky enough to represent NeHII since its inception. I'm going to give the second most riveting report. And by the way, it was supposed to be about a 15-minute report, but because we're a little bit behind, I'm going to cut it down to just 5 minutes. So you're all very, very lucky. I'm going to talk about the NeHII board structure, give you the election results, which I believe are now official, talk about some proposed NeHII bylaw changes, and then just some miscellaneous matters. If you take a step back and think about the last 3 hours, we've seen a lot of accomplishments from NeHII, a tremendous amount of accomplishments. You may wonder, well, how does an organization like NeHII achieve all of that? I think there are a number of ingredients, but two of the most important ingredients are energy and collaboration. You've seen the energy from the people who have given the reports. You've seen the energy, the results of energy from what Dr. Westcott presented earlier today. I think that is self-evident that the energy is here. It's from the people who volunteer and who work with NeHI, and from the staff members of NeHI. It really is tremendous. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the collaboration effort and how NeHI was structured from the beginning for collaboration, and we'll talk about that in a moment. The second thing is I'm going to give you the election results. I can guarantee you that there's been no Russia hacking of our election. We are constantly monitoring WikiLeaks to see if anything comes out and nothing's come out, so it is a good election. And then the NeHI bylaw changes will be very quick, and then miscellaneous matters will be very quick. So as far as the structure of NeHI, I've shown this a couple of times. For those of you who are new, I think it's important for you to understand how NeHI is structured. For those of you who have been around for a while, I think it's good to kind of refresh our memory on that and kind of talk about why NeHI really has been designed for some good collaboration. I think, does this have to start with, let's kind of look at the different people who make up the board of directors of NeHI. We basically have three different types of people who are on the board. The first are the Class A members, and Class A members are there to represent the consumers. All of you can become a Class A member of NeHI, and I urge you to think about that because it does give you some additional information and it provides input into the board as far as NeHI is concerned. The two Class A representatives on the board are Delaney Wyckoff and Robert Marshall right now. Then we have the Class B members of the board. These are the organizations that are the main financiers of NeHI. They provide a lot of the dollars that keeps NeHI running. They also provide a lot of the leadership from a financial standpoint and just overall leadership standpoint to the board. The members are Dr. Ash from Nebraska Med, Dale Mackel from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Marty Hodges' position is currently open as of this annual meeting. He was from the Regional West Medical Center. Dr. Westcott, I think we've seen him a couple of times earlier today. He's our at-large member. Mark Stasny, he is from Children's. Jeanette Wadlevich, yes. I just call her Jeanette W. usually. Is from CHI, and then Dr. Zuber is from Nebraska Methodist. So that represents the investors and the large organizations that support NeHI. We then have, and this is one of the unique aspects of NeHI, we have our appointed members of the board that come from various interest groups. We have, of course, Deb Bass, who is the CEO of NeHI, Kevin Conway, who is the chair of the Professional Association Council, who just gave a report, and Byers, who just gave her report from the chair of the Consumer Advisory Council, Sherry Flowers, who you just saw from the Privacy and Security, Lisa White from the state of Nebraska, and then Dr. Harris Franco, who is the past president of NeHI. These different committees and interested constituencies provide very important input into the board, and that's what gives us the 15 members of the board of directors. Up for election at this point are Jeanette W., Monty Hodge, Mark Stasny. Those are the three Class B members. There are no Class A members up for election this year, and then Kevin Conway's position is up for election. So you map that back to the board, you can see that as far as the red, those are the members who are up for election at this annual meeting. Over in blue, we have two positions that will be elected as NeHI officer positions. That election will occur at the first board meeting after this annual meeting. And that is Kevin Conway, who's our vice president, Stephanie Dauber, who's the secretary. So, and now for a drum roll, if I had one. Our election results are, as far as Class B, we now have John Minchin, who's taken Monty Hodges' position. Mark Stasny was reelected, Jeanette W. was reelected, and Kevin Conway was reelected. So this is going to be our board going into 2017, 2018. I will have to tell you that the board does meet at 7 o'clock in the morning, so I'm actually thinking about joining two other committees. It really is the heart of NeHI in terms of planning and strategic direction. These individuals cooperate together, absolutely fantastic. They really do put a lot of time into NeHII and trying to make sure that we're on the right track. And it really is remarkable just to watch the board work and to watch the executive committee work. So it is no longer unofficial and no hacking involved. It is an official result. And that's where we stand for 2017, 2018. As far as proposed bylaw changes, just a couple I want to make you aware of as far as the collaborative is concerned. The first is we are going to replace the HIE Advisory Council with a new quality reporting advisory council called the QAC Council. You can see its chart up there. I won't go through it. You've heard about it earlier today, and this will be providing input into NeHII for the quality reporting. We also are going to review the identification policy for the board as we grow larger and have more operations. It's important to make sure that we have the proper identifications in place. The last miscellaneous information excuse me, I want to provide to you is that many of you know Kim Lammers. She was worked at Nebraska Methodist before. We are happy to have her. She just joined her home, and she will be working with me on NeHII in the future. So you probably will continue to see a lot of her. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to introduce Deb Bass. I talked about energy and collaboration. Deb is the epitome of that. She has much more energy than I do, even at 7 o'clock in the morning. And she really is the one that keeps us all collaborating. So I'll invite her to the podium to give her report. Deb?
I'm also going to ask Jamie Bland to join me up here. She's going to do a part of it. There you are. I couldn't find you, Jamie. People seem to be disappearing on us today. So with that, we realize that we are standing between you and the social hour. So we will do our best to fly through this as quickly as we possibly can. And everyone should have 2 drink tickets. If you don't, please raise your hand. So go the right way here. So with that, just one more plug, and then you now know the councils and the committees that start at 8 versus those that start at 7, and we're always looking for more committee members, so feel free to sign up, or if you'd like any of the newsletters. Also, Class A members. Just let us know if you'd like to participate as a Class A member. We'll make certain that we get you engaged. You can also find copies of the slides and all this material that we've been talking about go out to the NeHII website. And under the main menu, you can click on those and use those as you wish. Again, we share our information freely. We're looking to help others join us in this journey to health information exchange. We talked a lot about, or the new pricing model has been mentioned by several, but I wanted to just give a little bit additional background because I want to thank the work group that came together to put this all together. We had to come up with a new pricing model because our old platform was based upon edge servers, and that went away with the new platform. So we were starting from square one. Our bed size, we used the bed size tiers for our hospital participation. We started with 5 in 2009, then grown to 8. We still heard many comments about this really isn't a tangible number. There's a lot of room for a movement here. So we were looking for a better way to identify the value that individuals were receiving from the health information exchange. So Stephanie Daubert put together a work group, and you'll see those members later, and they finalized our pricing model then in January, and we announced it in February and March. So we were really looking at this more equitable model. It was not intended to increase revenues. In fact, you can see that there was less than 2% increase in revenues by the time they did all the calculations. The hospital fees had remained unchanged since 2009. What have you bought today that was the same price that you purchased in 2009? I do want to point out, though, I want to thank the hospitals because the large hospitals paid a sustainability surcharge from 2013 to 15, and then we also added a small surcharge to all of the hospitals 14 and 15 to make certain that we could hit that sustainability number that had been so elusive for us. But with that, in the new pricing model, there were 5 hospitals that saw a slight increase. And so we wanted to make certain that they had a chance to give us their feedback, and we talked to all of them. So the details behind the new pricing model, first of all, we wanted to make certain that we eliminated any fees for any licensed healthcare professional in the state of Nebraska to have access to the data in the NeHII. We're talking about our next big challenge is the long-term care, nursing homes, assisted living. Registered nurses can access information in the Health Information Exchange at no charge, and we really feel like that's going to be key to helping us get more of those long-term care facilities. We also wanted to share the cost evenly. Basically, now there's 2 groups left to pay for this. There's the hospitals and there's the payers. So the math is pretty simple, divided by 2. And then we used our most recent 2015 Medicare cost report, and we adjusted the adjusted discharge numbers, and that's our tangible number that we use. So, and we also want to give folks time to adjust to this new payment model, so we talked about the 3-year implementation. So for the first year, 2017, it's 2/3 licensed bed model, 1/3 new pricing model. And then next year, it's 2/3 new pricing model, 1/3 the licensed bed model. And then in 2019, it's the full adjusted discharge. And what's interesting, when we call all of these CEOs, this is a number, and the CFOs that they know. And they know where it's going, they know how it's trending. So it really has been a very well-received message when we've talked about this. And it's aligned with risk-based payment models as well. So licensed healthcare professionals all have free access to the HIE. This eliminated the site license model that some of the hospitals were paying so that all of their providers could have free access. So again, most of our hospitals are not having to pay that any longer. And then it also eliminated that 1-to-3 ratio. We used to have, if a provider paid the $20 a month license, he could have up to 3 professionals use the system as well. So took away a lot of the busy work from us trying to manage this 1-to-3 ratio. And also, we wanted to, the PDMP, that tile is free to all prescribers and dispensers. So we didn't want to discourage providers from using the Health Information Exchange by having a fee that they would have to pay in order to access that data. The hospitals, we used the math, as I said, divided the cost. It's about between $4 and $5 million a year, and divided that evenly between those 2 sectors. So the magic number is $4.96 per adjusted discharge rate. Easy number for people to understand and to identify how that's going to trend for them in the future. We did, though, keep in place that for a critical access hospital, the minimum monthly fee would be $500 a month. And that's just because of the maintenance and support that goes into the system and us providing the service. But we did work, and I want to thank Margaret Brockman and the Office of Rural Health from Nebraska. They approved the use of SHIP funds for the critical access hospitals to pay these monthly license fees. So in essence, we have removed the cost for critical access hospitals to participate in NeHII if they have not designated their SHIP funding. So again, and plus with the hospitals, all providers now have free access. The payers are a $25,000 annual fee plus a per member per month. There are tiers there, and that is dependent upon the number of eligible lives that they cover. The lowest tier is the one to almost $75,000 at 17 cents per member per month. And then the highest tier is when there's more than 450,000 lives, and that's 10 cents per member per month. But this also includes this ADT event notification. The payers can quickly understand the value in knowing when patients are being admitted and discharged. And so this is a worthwhile service to them. And so there's no additional fee for them to receive the ADT messaging. Results thus far, we have 52 non-data sharing participation agreements that have come in since the end of February. We see about 1 to 2 a week. and the word continues to spread. That was one letter that was sent out, by the way. And then we had a number of critical access hospitals that signed up immediately, and now we have one of those that has moved forward to become a data provider. So again, we see this as a way to open the door to get the critical access hospitals to participate. And that helped us get that 53% of those critical access hospital beds implemented. So just a quick list of the committee. Thank you again. We met many times, usually for 2 hours, putting all of this together. And they did a great job. And I can tell you that we have a lot of interest from around the country as far as the new pricing model as well. So this is my time when I get to say thank you, because just as someone once said, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a state to build an HIE. And all of you here today are very important players in that. So I just, you know, as Jim mentioned, it is a collaborative. When I first started working with NeHII, I had never worked with a collaborative, and it's really been tremendously rewarding to see what collaboration means. And when I travel, I've heard many people say, I don't know what it is about Nebraska. They just know how to roll up their sleeves and get things done. And I have the pleasure of getting to see that each and every day. So I want to thank you for that. And special thanks to NeHI's Executive Committee. They do meet at 7, and they meet every 2 weeks. And we work very hard to get everything done within an hour. And they're very good about joining me on those calls. And they all seem wide awake as well. We also are still a virtual organization, so I have to thank all of our participants that let us use their conference rooms. You know, we meet all over, and we really keep our costs down by working virtual. So once in a while you hear a dog bark or the doorman or something like that. But, you know, we have learned how to really become very skilled in working in this in virtual environment. And we have added some positions this past year. I'm very happy. I'll be introducing Jamie Bland here in a minute. Her first day with NeHII was August 1st. And so she is our new Director of Business Development. I'm very happy to have some assistance with that. We've also added a project manager, and then we added some assistants with system administration and customer support reps while we were doing all of this provisioning that Jed so eloquently talked about, because it was a lot of work on the back end to prepare for the new platform as well as the PDMP. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to our Blue Cross Blue Shield lobbyist team. They really have been very good in helping us with the bills that have been passed. As I said, these are bills that are getting national attention. They have helped me to understand, working with state senators, what it is that they need to understand. Keep it simple. Don't let your whirly-gig whirl. And so, you know, they've been very good about coaching me with all of that. And also helping develop the testimonies at the different hearings and things like that. So I wouldn't have been able to do some of those things without the coaching that they gave, and I truly appreciate that and want to say thank you to Blue Cross Blue Shield. So with that, I'm going to introduce Jamie, and Jamie's going to talk about some of the exciting news that has also been approved in our quality reporting support services.
So as Deb said, I joined NeHII August 1st, so if you're counting, that's less than 72 hours ago. But I'm very happy to be here to talk about the quality reporting services. And as Mr. O'Connor had described, we are standing up the Quality Reporting Advisory Council, and there's a sign-up sheet. I'm not sure what time we'll meet in the morning, but I'm not guaranteeing that it's 7 a.m., but we are looking for nominees for that advisory council, because I think this is going to be, you know, we might reclaim the title from Stephanie as the most riveting committee next year. So why quality reporting? When Deb asked me to consult with NeHII about some value-added services, prior to working with NeHII in a previous context, I've spent a lot of my career, a good portion of my career, working with federal entities, DoD. So there's too many acronyms. My second language is acronyms because of my time with federal programs. So if there's too many, I'll direct you to this one pager. It will detail some of the information that we're talking about. If anything's not clear to you. So the quality reporting, really aligning the data that's available in the NeHII 2.0 platform to be, as Dr. Rucker explained this morning, reducing the burden of providers on extracting data and reporting data through the various programs, but also looking at how we can standardize information, how we can standardize a language so that when we're talking about population health X and population health Y, that we're all talking about the same thing. So looking to build quality reporting capacity within the NeHII 2.0 platform, working to support macro legislation and really the value-based payment models we're seeing enter into the markets across the region. And the risk-based payment models and what data providers need to be able to be successful in that realm, as well as what we need to do beyond quality reporting to really push the population health analytics to a point that we're using this data to change practice and improve care for all Nebraskans. So performance improvement, a good portion of my career is working in primary care and getting teams of clinicians to use data to drive practice change and to influence the care that they deliver. So how can we build this data-savvy community around not only quality reporting, but also the population health analytics and then the spectrum tool that is being rolled out across the state. Care coordination facilitation, so data packaging, data visualization, looking at which users need which information and how we can package the data that's available in NeHII 2.0 in a way that enables seamless care coordination and all of those tenets that we all hold for with information that's available in NeHII. So the Qualified Clinical Data Registry, you'll hear us refer to that as the QCDR. This is a specific program through CMS. It involves specific data validation and data elements that are submitted to CMS. It involves a project plan and a project manager with CMS. And once we go through that project, we will be designated a QCDR. So if you're familiar with the MIPS measures, the APM measures, and what's now posted on qpp.gov, you'll see QCDR repeated throughout those measures. So providers that report through a QCDR or use a QCDR receive credit in the Advancing Care Information and Improvement Activities category. And what you'll see also in the quality measures portion of MIPS is that several measures align to the work that's being done in the NeHII, such as view, download, and transmit, or sending a summary of care. Qualified entity, so this process is again a project that's initiated with CMS, and it's bringing the clinical data that's available with in the NeHII in tandem with the with claims data to be able to report on the entire portfolio of measures. That's the goal. That's available. That's reported through CMS. So if you notice, if you're one of those data people and you look at the quality measures, and you'll see the measure stewards say clinical, claims, different categories of information. The qualified entity brings together the clinical claims to be able to report on that wide portfolio of measures. And long-term goal, and you'll see this listed on that value-added services strategy, is mining, dashboards, artificial intelligence, and deep learning. So we have this new NeHII 2.0 platform. We have the big data capabilities to really enable a wide breadth of information to be able to influence the health of the population in Nebraska. And with that, expanding the analytics, looking to the consumers to really help us operationalize the data, and that's really where that Quality Reporting Advisory Council will be advising NeHII, where we need to build the population health analytics, what measures do we need to focus on, and really building that capacity so that we can be a learning technology platform.
Thank you, Jamie. So with that, you've heard us talk about many things today. The LNC Interoperability Grant has wrapped up, and now we're turning our attention to the IAPD projects. And those are some big projects, and we're excited to begin to start working on those because it also brings added functionality to the HIE. With this, with the new platform, we also have the ability to do more CCDA exchange storage transmission. We just were able to complete 3 of those projects. We're excited about what we're finding, but there's much more work that has to be done, particularly in working with the ambulatory clinics and the EHRs that are meaningfully use certified. Continue to work on expanding our ADT event notification. HIEs across the country, this is the gold mine. The information that we can store in an ADT, the timeliness, and how we can support as a patient moves across the continuum of care. We're just really beginning to scratch the surface on some of those standards. And CMS is encouraging Nebraska to be one of the leaders. In fact, they've asked us to put into our grant funding to do statewide ADT event notification for statewide readmission reporting. They'd really like to see that happen in Nebraska. Now, in order to do that, we have to have all the hospitals on board. So guess what we're going to ask all of you to do to help us spread that word. We also want to build on those lessons that we learned from the integrated community. I think they spoke so eloquently about the process and what can happen when you bring a number of players together. And then patient-centered data home. Very excited about this project. This project actually adds value to the eHealth Exchange. The problem with the eHealth Exchange is that as a provider, you didn't know for certain where your patients were going, so you didn't know who to query to ask for information. So with patient-centered data home, using our ADT messages, we know where these patients are going, and we can send the information with them. So the provider doesn't necessarily have to ask for it. So we have had significant success with this project in a short amount of time, and we are being talked about now at the same level as Commonwealth and care quality. And the ONC has recognized the work that's being done there. The eHealth Exchange, we still want to be able to connect with our federal partners, so we will move forward with that, but thanks to patient-centered data home, we feel that there's value that can be achieved by the eHealth Exchange participation. Expand on our connections with state registries and get that meaningful use certification for our PDMP. Again, extreme value add for our providers across the state. Get into those nursing homes. We really are just scratching the surface there. We really want to start working with our hospitals and those facilities that they use with this readmission report and show the nursing home what we can do to help them save dollars and provide better care. Finalize our community care plan to support the MCOs in the state. We have several of them here in the room. Thank you for joining us today. And this is not only the community care plan, but it's social determinants and it's other programs that these individuals can qualify for so that we can add efficiency to their daily operations. And then finally, you heard Jamie talking about the quality reporting strategy. This is the future. This is where the HIEs are going. And I'm very happy to see that we've made this much progress in this much time this year. And I'm just very excited to see what the future holds. So with that, take a look at our websites. The connectnebraska.net is the consumer-oriented website, but still lots of good information out there, including our Connect the Docs video that many of our hospitals have used. And like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And this is where I also get to say thank you to the NeHII team. We have some folks back in Omaha doing the job, but many of them are here today, so if you would please stand. I have to point out a fact. Rachel went over this very quickly. We set a record that last week before that grant ended. We had 7 HL7 implementations that went live, 3 CCD, and 1 HIE to HIE connection. I don't know anywhere, any place else that will ever be achieved, and I don't think we even want to try it again. But thank you to the technical people at the hospitals. You saw them stand early in the program. Thank you to the NeHII team. Thank you to our vendors, Optum, Dr. First. They really cleared the road for us so that we can make these things happen. And because of that work, 22 additional critical access hospitals became participants in NeHII. And it was just a testimony, as I told them. They're a small but mighty team, but they moved a mountain. And that's a great feeling when you do something like that. So would you please stand? And then, of course, our part-time support team members, Jim, Eric, Ashley, Kim. I call them on a regular basis, and we really abuse the term part-time at times. So. And one last plug for our sponsors for today. Please note the professional associations that stepped up to the plate this year. We greatly appreciate that. It was wonderful to have Dr. Rocker see the support of our professional associations, so thank you. Kevin, Dale, Victoria, and I'm missing one other one. But the Nurses Association. So really appreciated that, and now we get to go to the social hour thanks to our folks and friends at Baird Home and also Dr. First. But first, I'd like to call Kevin Conway one last time to the podium and give us our closing thoughts for the day. Thank you.
Deb, can I just make this really short and just say the bar's open? No, listening to our accomplishments, or NeHI's accomplishments this year, I'd like to say that's really the wrong focus. That's the wrong singular focus. Sorry, Deb. As George Sullivan used to always say, we have the technology, we can build this. He was good at making those type of statements. And I just have my iPhone out here as an example. This is actually newer than NeHI. So we're focusing on the technology and the technology can accomplish. I think that's really kind of the wrong focus. Deb said it takes a village. Jim said it takes relationships. I really like to think about the community that makes up NeHI. We have our great partners out there. We have the Office of National Coordinator, not only the grant funding, but the support and guidance. We have Health and Human Services, Public Health, Medicaid. We have the Nebraska Information Technology Commission. We have University of Nebraska Medical Center. We have, let's see, what else am I thinking about here? We have Optum and Dr. First as great community members. But we also have the providers, the institutions, the physicians out there, the facilities that are great partners in this NeHI road that we're going down. Then, of course, we also have the NeHI team. And I think we have fielded the best NeHI team ever. We always have a great team. Every year we go into the Boys of Summer competition, but I think this team is even better. To run that analogy on, I think we have Jed as an outfielder. 23,000 miles. He's out there running around catching everything that's flying. He has great support out there. We have Connie at first base. She's tagging everything that comes her direction. We have Rachel at third base. She throws the long ball. Let's see, who else do we have? Oh, we have Leanne at shortstop. Nothing is ever, she stops everything that's trying to get through. So as a security officer, she does a great job of that. We have Kathy backing up Deb on the mound. Everything was flying by Deb. Kathy is catching. We have Dr. Westcott as a team manager. He makes sure that we have a game plan. The game plan is being followed. We have the Optum field we play on. Of course, we have the Dr. First concession stands. We all know that's where we get the goodies at. We have Jim O'Connor as the catcher. Jim is back there giving the signals to Deb. So, nope. Oh, yeah, go ahead. And then we have Deb, and Deb is a very, very versatile pitcher. But I have to say, Deb, the only pitch you throw is a hard ball high and inside. That's all I see. So we are the best fielded team. We are independent races. But I have to say that singular focus is not the World Series. That's not what we're after. My 90-year-old mom is vibrant. She drives to church every day. She goes to the gym a couple times a week, does the water track thing. She goes to the area nursing home. She plays music, what she calls it playing music for the old folks. So she has vibrant health. but she does need health care, and she needs to maintain that health. And so that's my call to action, my challenge to our community of NeHII, is whether we're looking at 1 year, 5 years, what horizon we're looking at, we need to make sure that we have the best possible health for every individual in Nebraska. And that's what we're accomplishing. Thank you very much. The bar is now open.